My dear brothers and sisters, let me ask you something honestly. How fast did January disappear? You had intentions, you had plans, you had promises, you whispered to yourself, and suddenly January is gone. No announcement, no warning, just gone. And now Ramadan is approaching. Many people think Ramadan is a reset button. It is not. Ramadan is a mirror. It does not change you, it reveals you. If January was wasted, Ramadan will not hide it. It will expose it. This is not a message to shame you. This is a reminder to wake you up before a sacred opportunity passes the same way January did. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest illusions we live with is the belief that time somehow understands us. We act as though time knows our struggles, our exhaustion, our plans, our good hearts. We behave as if time will be gentle because our intentions were sincere. But time does not negotiate with intentions. Allah gave you January exactly the same way. He gave it to every human being on this planet. The same number of days, the same number of nights, the same 24 hours repeating again and again. Some people rose from January stronger, closer to Allah, more disciplined, more focused. Others came out unchanged, frustrated, or even weaker. The difference was never time. The difference was response. You told yourself you would pray more consistently. You knew which prayers you were missing. You knew where the weakness was. You didn't lack knowledge, you lacked follow through. And instead of addressing that honestly, the mind whispered something dangerous. I'll start later. You told yourself you would change certain habits. Habits you already knew were draining your iman, your focus, your peace. You didn't need another reminder. You didn't need another lecture. You already felt the discomfort in your heart, but you delayed action, thinking delay was harmless. You told yourself you would stop something that was harming you spiritually, something you felt guilty about every time you did it, something you promised Allah you would walk away from, but the promise stayed in the heart and never reached the limbs. This is where people misunderstand intention. Intention is powerful, but intention alone does not move life forward. Intention without action is not sincerity. It is self-deception dressed as hope. It makes a person feel righteous while remaining unchanged. Allah judges intentions, yes, but Allah also commanded action. If intention alone were enough, no prayer would be required, no fasting would be prescribed, no struggle would be rewarded. Time does not wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If your obedience depends on motivation, then obedience will be inconsistent. January exposed this clearly. You were waiting to feel ready. Time kept moving. Time does not slow down for guilt. Feeling bad about delay does not reverse delay. Regret without correction is just another form of comfort. It allows a person to feel morally alive while practically inactive. Time moves forward regardless of how you feel. You can be tired. Time moves. You can be confused. Time moves. You can be overwhelmed. Time moves. You can be sincere but undisciplined. Time still moves. January left because it was never yours to keep. You do not own days. You are only entrusted with moments. And when those moments are not used, they are not stored for later. They are gone. This is why Allah swears by time in the Quran, because time is the silent witness against human delay. It never argues, it never explains, it simply passes and leaves evidence behind. Now listen carefully, because this is where many people misunderstand Ramadan. Some people are waiting for Ramadan to give them discipline. They think fasting will suddenly make prayer easy. They think hunger will automatically soften the heart. They think the atmosphere will carry them where effort failed. This is a misunderstanding of what Ramadan is. Ramadan does not create discipline. Ramadan demands it. Ramadan removes excuses. When food is removed, distractions become louder. When sleep is reduced, sincerity is tested. When comfort is restricted, the truth about your habits rises to the surface. If discipline does not exist before Ramadan, Ramadan will feel heavy instead of uplifting. If self-control was weak in January, fasting will feel like punishment instead of purification. This does not mean you are hopeless. It means you must be honest. January was a lesson, not a verdict. It showed you where you hesitate. It revealed where you negotiate with obedience. It exposed the gap between intention and action. The intelligent believer does not deny that lesson. He learns from it. Stop waiting for the perfect spiritual moment. Obedience does not begin when life becomes easy. It begins when you decide that Allah deserves consistency even when you are uncomfortable. If you wasted January, admit it without excuses. Allah does not need your justification. He responds to humility far faster than to performance. Start now, not dramatically, not perfectly, but truthfully fix what you can today. One prayer guarded, one habit reduced, one intention carried into action. Because time will not pause for your next promise, and Ramadan will not negotiate either. 2. Ramadan does not fix what you refuse to face. My brothers and sisters, one of the most dangerous ideas people carry into Ramadan is the belief that Ramadan will repair what they avoided confronting all year. They say, when Ramadan comes, I will change. They say, Ramadan will soften my heart. They say, once I start fasting, everything will fall into place. But Ramadan is not a repair shop. It is a revelation. Ramadan does not fix what you refuse to face. It exposes it. All year long, Allah gives you quiet warnings. He places discomfort in your heart. He allows certain actions to leave a bitter taste inside you. You feel uneasy after missing prayers. You feel guilt after certain habits. You feel emptiness after distractions. These are not punishments. These are signals. But many people silence those signals. They stay busy. They stay distracted. They stay entertained. They tell themselves, I'll deal with this later. Ramadan removes the noise that helped you escape. Food is reduced, sleep is disrupted, routine changes, and suddenly what you were avoiding has nowhere to hide. If your salah was weak before Ramadan, it will feel heavier in Ramadan. If your tongue was uncontrolled before Ramadan, fasting will expose how quickly anger rises. If your heart was attached to distractions, deprivation will make that attachment painfully obvious. This is not because Ramadan is harsh. It is because Ramadan is honest. Many people think hardship means something is wrong. In reality, discomfort is often a sign that something true is being revealed. When the heart is not trained, discipline feels painful. When habits are unhealthy, restriction feels suffocating. Ramadan does not suddenly create spirituality. It strips away the layers that were hiding the lack of it. Some people fast the entire day and still feel empty. They ask themselves, why don't I feel peace? Why don't I feel closeness to Allah? The answer is not that Ramadan failed. The answer is that unresolved issues were carried inside. Ramadan does not erase neglect, it magnifies it. If prayer was treated casually before Ramadan, it will feel rushed and heavy during it. If the Quran was distant before Ramadan, opening it will feel difficult. If obedience was conditional before Ramadan, commitment will feel exhausting now. This is why some people finish Ramadan relieved that it ended, while others finish it grieving that it passed. The difference is not fasting, the difference is honesty. Ramadan is not meant to make you comfortable. It is meant to make you aware of what controls you, aware of what weakens you, aware of where your heart actually stands when comfort is removed. And this awareness is a mercy. Allah does not expose faults to humiliate you. He exposes them so you can finally address them. But many people resist this mercy. Instead of facing the truth, they distract themselves even more during Ramadan. Endless food at iftar, endless scrolling at night, endless excuses for missed prayers. They stay busy so they don't have to look inward. But avoidance only delays growth. It never prevents it. If you refuse to face your habits before Ramadan, Ramadan will force you to feel them. If you ignored your weaknesses, fasting will highlight them. If you relied on comfort to function, discomfort will challenge you. This is not punishment, this is training. Ramadan does not fix you without your participation. It is not an automatic transformation, it is an opportunity that responds to effort. Allah does not change a people until they change what is within themselves. Ramadan gives you the environment. You must bring the decision. If something has been bothering your conscience for months, do not expect Ramadan to magically remove the guilt without repentance. If something has been draining your iman, do not expect fasting alone to heal it without sacrifice. Face what you avoided. Nama it, acknowledge it, turn away from it. Do not wait for Ramadan nights to do the work you postponed during the year. Start before Ramadan arrives. Reduce what you know is harming you. Strengthen what you know is weak. Repair what you know is broken. Ramadan does not reward denial. It rewards courage. And courage begins when you stop pretending that time alone will fix what only truth can heal. 3. Fasting without discipline is just hunger. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest misunderstandings about Ramadan is thinking that the hardship of fasting alone is what brings reward. Hunger by itself is not transformation. Thirst by itself is not purification. If that were the case, anyone who skipped meals would become righteous. Fasting is not about suffering. It is about control. Allah did not command fasting to weaken you. He commanded it to train you. The goal was never an empty stomach. The goal was a disciplined heart. This is why Allah tells us that fasting was prescribed so that you may develop taqwa, awareness, restraint, consciousness of Him in moments where no one else is watching. Without discipline, fasting becomes routine. You wake up, you endure hunger, you count the hours, and you break the fast. The body completes the act, but the heart remains untouched. When Ramadan ends, nothing follows it except relief. This is why some people fast for 30 days and still return to the same habits immediately after Eid. Nothing was trained, nothing was restrained. They practiced endurance, not obedience. Discipline is what separates hunger from worship. When you fast but still lie, the tongue was never trained. When you fast but still argue, the ego was never restrained. When you fast but still indulge the eyes, the gaze was never disciplined. When you fast but still waste the night in distraction, the soul was never prioritized. Allah does not need your hunger. He wants your sincerity. Fasting is meant to interrupt automatic behavior. All year long, you eat when you want, speak when you want, sleep when you want, scroll when you want. Ramadan disrupts that. It tells the body you are not in charge. But if the heart never joins that command, the fast remains physical. True fasting teaches you to pause. Before speaking, before reacting, before indulging, it inserts awareness where impulse used to be. That awareness is discipline. But discipline is uncomfortable. And this is where many people resist the lesson. They want the reward of fasting without the effort of restraint. They want the identity of worship without the inconvenience of control. So they fast during the day and lose themselves at night. They restrict food but not desires. They endure hunger but avoid reflection. This is why Ramadan feels exhausting to some people. They are fighting the process instead of learning from it. Fasting without discipline drains you. Fasting with discipline refines you. When discipline is present, hunger becomes meaningful. Thirst becomes intentional. Each moment of restraint becomes a reminder that you can say no, not just to food, but to anything that distances you from Allah. This is why Ramadan reveals who is serious. Discipline does not appear suddenly on the first day of fasting. It is built through repeated small acts of restraint, guarding the tongue, lowering the gaze, leaving what does not benefit you, choosing worship over comfort even when no one is watching. If fasting only affects your stomach, Ramadan will pass and leave nothing behind. But if fasting trains your reactions, your habits and your priorities, Ramadan will follow you long after it ends. Do not aim to survive Ramadan, aim to be trained by it. Hunger will end every evening. Discipline stays with you. And the believer who leaves Ramadan disciplined leaves with something far more valuable than relief. He leaves with control. 4. What you do before Ramadan determines what you gain in it. My brothers and sisters, many people treat Ramadan as a sudden arrival, as though it appears from nowhere and demands instant transformation. They speak about Ramadan as if it alone is responsible for changing hearts, fixing habits, and repairing what was neglected for months. This way of thinking places responsibility on a season instead of on the individual, and it leads to disappointment every year. Ramadan does not work in isolation. It amplifies what already exists within you. If obedience was present before Ramadan, it grows stronger within it. If neglect was dominant before Ramadan, it becomes heavier during it. This is why preparation matters more than excitement. Excitement fades quickly, but preparation shapes outcomes. When a person prepares for Ramadan, they are not trying to become perfect. They are trying to become honest. They recognize where their prayer stands, how consistent it truly is, and whether Allah is remembered beyond moments of guilt. Preparation means acknowledging weakness without justifying it and deciding to take responsibility before sacred time begins. Those who gain the most from Ramadan usually begin repairing their relationship with Salah before the month arrives. They do not wait for fasting to force prayer into their lives. They begin showing up for Allah when it is still difficult, when there is no spiritual atmosphere carrying them. This effort creates sincerity. When Ramadan arrives, the body is already familiar with obedience, so worship feels lighter instead of forced. Preparation also means reducing distractions early. A heart attached to constant stimulation cannot suddenly become focused simply because Ramadan has arrived. If the mind is used to endless noise, silence will feel unbearable. This is why those who gradually step away from distractions before Ramadan find peace within it, while others feel restless and irritated. Ramadan multiplies effort, but it does not replace it. A person who enters Ramadan without discipline often feels overwhelmed. They want to do everything at once. More prayer, more Quran, more charity, more worship. Without preparation, this ambition collapses under its own weight. Consistency breaks and guilt replaces momentum. Allah does not ask you to do everything in Ramadan. He asks you to be sincere in what you do. Preparation allows you to choose wisely instead of emotionally. It helps you focus on what truly needs repair rather than chasing spiritual excitement that fades. When January was wasted, it was not because Allah withheld guidance. It was because action was delayed. Ramadan is not meant to repeat that mistake. It is meant to correct it. But correction requires readiness. The heart that enters Ramadan already turning toward Allah experiences Ramadan as a gift. The heart that enters unprepared experiences it as pressure. Preparation is an act of respect. It is the believer saying, I recognize the value of this time and I refuse to approach it casually. This respect transforms how Ramadan is experienced. Worship becomes intentional. Fasting becomes meaningful. Time becomes precious. If you wait for Ramadan to motivate you, you will struggle. If you prepare before Ramadan, motivation becomes unnecessary. Discipline carries you forward even when emotions fade. What you do before Ramadan determines whether Ramadan passes as a blur or remains as a turning point. Sacred time responds to readiness. The more seriously you approach it, the more deeply it transforms you. Ramadan does not reward those who arrive empty-handed expecting miracles. It rewards those who arrive honest, prepared, and willing to work on what they already know needs attention. 5. Ramadan will not carry you, you must carry yourself. My brothers and sisters, many people rely on the atmosphere of Ramadan to improve their worship. They depend on the schedule of the masjid, the fasting of others, the reminders around them, and the general sense of spirituality in the air. While these things are blessings, they are not substitutes for personal responsibility. When a person relies entirely on the environment to carry their faith weakens the moment that environment disappears. Ramadan is not meant to carry you. It is meant to strengthen you so that you can carry yourself when the season ends. If your discipline only exists when everyone around you is fasting, then that discipline was never internal. It was borrowed. Borrowed faith does not last beyond the moment it is needed. True change is measured by what remains when support is removed. Anyone can pray when the masjid is full and reminders are everywhere. The real test appears when Ramadan ends, when routines return, and when distractions become available again. If nothing remains after Ramadan, then Ramadan was treated as a performance instead of a training ground. Many people enter Ramadan with the mindset that the month will do the work for them. They think fasting will force them into obedience and that the environment will correct their weaknesses. But when obedience is forced externally and not chosen internally, it produces exhaustion rather than growth. This is why some people feel relief when Ramadan ends instead of gratitude. Allah did not give you Ramadan to replace effort. He gave you Ramadan to sharpen it. The fasting trains you to say no. The long nights train you to prioritize. The limited time trains you to value moments. But these lessons only remain if you take responsibility for them. If you do not build internal discipline, you will return to old habits the moment Ramadan ends. Comfort will pull you back. Laziness will whisper again. Excuses will return. Ramadan does not fail at this point. The failure was relying on the month instead of building strength strength within yourself. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. A small act carried daily with sincerity is heavier in the sight of Allah than bursts of worship that collapse once the season ends. Carrying yourself means building habits that do not depend on crowds or special times. It means showing up even when no one is watching and no one is reminding you. Ramadan gives you clarity. It shows you what you are capable of when comfort is reduced. But it does not promise to maintain that state for you. You must decide what you will protect and carry forward. If January was wasted, do not make Ramadan another season where you lean on external pressure and then fall back when it leaves. Use Ramadan to develop independence in your worship. Let it teach you that you are capable of restraint, consistency, and focus. Ramadan strengthens those who take responsibility for their faith. It does not replace responsibility. And when the month ends, the one who learned to carry himself walks forward stronger, not empty-handed. 6. Allah looks at effort, not perfection. My brothers and sisters, when reminders like this are given, some hearts respond with motivation, but others respond with quiet despair. They think, I have already failed too much. I wasted January. I am inconsistent. I am behind. And instead of returning to Allah, they retreat further, believing that their weakness disqualifies them from trying. This is a misunderstanding of how Allah deals with His servants. Allah does not wait for perfection before accepting effort. If He did, none of us would ever be accepted. What Allah looks for is honesty in struggle, not flawlessness in action. He looks at the servant who turns back despite falling, not the one who pretends they never fell. Many people delay repentance and improvement because they think they must first become better. But becoming better is the result of returning, not the condition for it. If you wait until you feel worthy of obedience, you will wait forever. Worthiness is built through obedience itself. January may have been wasted, but Allah did not turn away from you in January. He continued to provide for you, to protect you, and to give you opportunities to return. This alone should teach you something about His mercy. The door was never closed. Only the step toward it was delayed. Effort matters because effort proves sincerity. Even small effort, especially small effort. A person who begins guarding one prayer sincerely has done something heavy in the sight of Allah. A person who abandons one harmful habit out of fear of Allah has moved closer than they realize. These acts may seem insignificant to people, but Allah measures differently. Perfection is an illusion that the ego uses to avoid accountability. It says, if I can't do everything, I won't do anything. This thinking protects comfort while pretending to protect sincerity. Islam does not teach this. Islam teaches progress through consistency, not sudden transformation. Allah knows your weaknesses before you admit them. He knows the habits you struggle with. He knows the inconsistency you hide from others. What He waits for is not an excuse, but a return. A return without performance, without justification, without delay. Ramadan is not asking you to arrive flawless. It is asking you to arrive honest. Honest about what you neglected, honest about what you struggle with, honest about where you need help. When effort is sincere, Allah multiplies it beyond what you imagine. A small step taken honestly can outweigh years of intention without action. But that step must be taken. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Some people have been training for years. Others are just waking up. Allah does not compare journeys. He looks at hearts. If January taught you anything, let it be this. Delay is more dangerous than weakness. Weakness admitted can be healed. Delay justified becomes a habit. Start where you are. Return as you are. Improve as you go. Allah does not ask you to be perfect before Ramadan. He asks you to try sincerely within it. And sincere effort, even when small, is never wasted with Allah. 7. Ramadan is coming whether you are ready or not. My brothers and sisters, there is one truth that makes this reminder uncomfortable, and it is this: Ramadan does not wait for readiness. It does not arrive based on your schedule, your mindset, or your level of preparation. It comes by the command of Allah on its appointed time, whether you are prepared or not. Many people spend their lives waiting to feel ready before obeying Allah. They wait for clarity, they wait for motivation, they wait for stability. But time does not wait for readiness, and neither do sacred opportunities. Ramadan will arrive exactly as planned, and when it does, it will treat everyone the same. The only difference will be how people receive it. Some will receive Ramadan with gratitude and focus because they prepared their hearts. Others will receive it with anxiety and resistance because they delayed responsibility. Ramadan itself will not change. The change will be in the people experiencing it. This is what makes Ramadan a test. Not because fasting is difficult, but because it exposes priorities. It shows you what you are willing to sacrifice and what you are not. It reveals whether Allah truly comes first or whether obedience is conditional on comfort. If January was wasted, that does not mean Ramadan is lost. But it does mean that Ramadan will ask more from you. It will ask you to be honest about what you ignored. It will ask you to stop pretending that time will fix what decisions have avoided. Ramadan does not reward good intentions alone. It responds to effort made when no one is forcing you. It responds to the servant who begins turning back before the pressure arrives, not the one who waits to be pushed. Some people enter Ramadan hoping it will make them serious. Others enter Ramadan already serious, hoping it will make them stronger. The difference between the two is preparation. One relies on the month, the other respects it. Ramadan will not slow down.